We are going to get through this. Although we are all in this together, we still need to stay apart. We want you to keep your distance while staying connected. Staying connected during these times is important, now more than ever. With your safety in mind, we present Curbside at the Connect, a food truck park and local farmers market. We are taking the necessary steps for increased safety and well-being, such as carryout and online orders, and social distancing takeout options. We know you are doing your part to flatten the curve, and at the Connect, we are also doing ours.
Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Hustle and Grow ATL. Welcome back. We are so excited to continue our conversation around safety and recovery strategies for Black owned businesses impacted by COVID 19. Welcome back. Tonight's guests are Dr. Carmen Eccles, and we also have joining us CEO and brand strategist Jason Hudgens. I'm excited about both of those folks joining us tonight. For those who are just tuning in, I am Kiyomi Rollins, your community connector, collaborator, and co founder of Ujama Fest and the Connect Cooperative. For those of you all that are, just coming across our page, Ujama Fest is our annual cooperative economic summit that we host and our marketplace for Black entrepreneurship. 2020 marks our 10th year celebration. Make sure you're following at Ujama Fest to stay connected. I am also happy to shout out our latest venture, the Connect Cooperative. You destination for Black owned businesses. We have an ongoing capital campaign that we would love for you to support. Head on over to those links that you guys see on the screen to chip in. So, we are excited tonight to bring on Dr. Carmen Eccles as she is going to share.
The first is to make sure that you and your employees have access to personal protective equipment known as PPE. Masks should be covering the nose and the mouth and should be kept on during encounters with individuals. The other thing is gloves may be considered as well. However, using gloves and not getting a new pair in between each client does incur a risk. Therefore, good hand hygiene through hand sanitizer and hand washing definitely is recommended. There are other examples of personal protective equipment that may or may not be appropriate for your small business, but the most important thing is understanding that there are rules of proper use with those modalities of personal protective equipment. Another safety tip would be to limit the number of customers that you allow in your business during this time. This will surely help make implementing that 6 foot social distancing rule much easier. Additionally, it will allow you to better implement contact tracing if you decide to do that. What contact tracing will allow you to do is to have customers sign a log when they enter. So, in the unfortunate event a COVID 19 exposure does occur in your place of business, you're able to contact those individuals who may have been exposed at that time so they can take the proper precautionary measures. My third and final safety tip is to consider reduced business hours to make sure that these safety tips that I've given you before are not only feasible but monetarily worthwhile. If you are a sole business owner or if you have employees, you and your employees will need to fully understand decontamination and sanitation protocols, as well as customer friendly implementation of the 6 foot rule, in addition to proper use of and disposal of PPE as well. Additionally, because you have reduced hours, you may want to consider online shopping for your customers with the option of in person pickup. The most important thing is the safety of you, your employees, and your customers, all while making sure that your business is sustainable during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Featured panelist and guest speaker on a lot of our conversations and dialogues that we have had here at the Connect and at Ujama Fest. Jason Hudgens, are you there?
I am here. Hi, Kiyomi. How are you?
Hey, I am great. I'm great. So, for many of you all that have already been a part of this journey of our digital episodes, you know that we always try and do an icebreaker with our guests. So, Jason, can you share a moment or situation that you experienced your most blackety black moment?
Let's see, my most blackest black moment. So I am a self-proclaimed black nerd. I like Lord of the Rings and Star Trek and all of that. But in college, I was actually on the debate team. And normally, collegiate debate, super white, super male dominated. And I joined the debate team at U of L, and we decided that year we were going to turn things upside down. So we were at a tournament at Harvard, and collegiate debate was all about during that period speaking as fast as possible. The idea was if I speak as fast as possible, you can't refute my arguments because you can't understand them. And the topic that year had to do with the rights of First Nations. And we decided that year that we were not going to speak. And so we strolled into the debate hall at Harvard and we set up speakers. And what we did, instead of us making arguments, we played hip hop by a artist named Lightfoot, who was a native artist, and allowed him to make the arguments. And our thought was that collegiate debate was privileged. It was all about white men, and we were not going to elevate the words of any white man in the debate to speak about a First Nation. They tried to kick us out. They're still trying to kick U of L out. So, I mean, people can, if they want to look up the Malcolm X debate team, that's the name of the team, University of Louisville debate. They can go find them. They are carrying on the tradition.
That is a great tradition. That is a great tradition. And also, we normally ask, when was an experience or a moment that your black card could be revoked? And Jason, you said you haven't had that moment where your black card could be revoked.
I would have to think. I told you I had to think about it. It's probably around something that I would eat or would not eat. Kiyomi, you know me well enough. I'm a picky eater. I eat only certain things, and so if it comes from certain animals and all of that, I'm not eating it. I'm not doing black eyed peas. If the food is slimy, I'm not eating it. I don't eat peaches because peaches are slimy. Stuff like that. So no peach cobbler, anything like that.
All right, so no to the black eyed peas. Okay,
No.
okay. So, Jason, we have you on tonight. You're the CEO and chief strategist for the brand North Star Consultant. Please share with us how and why you launched North Star Consultant.
I'm a pretty spiritual guy, and there's a scripture that I love that says that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. And I think a lot of people think that wealth is about money or resources when I view wealth as knowledge and information. If I understand how something works, if you take away my resources or you destroy what I built, I'll have the ability to reestablish it at another point. And with my professional career in corporate America, I've had the ability to be exposed in a bunch of different areas. And what I saw was that a bunch of Black owned businesses in my community as a whole didn't have access to that same intellectual property and intellectual information. And so I take it as a privilege to go into corporate America, gain as much knowledge and information as I can around building brands and branding and marketing, and then bringing that back to my community, so that businesses and the people that I know can benefit from that. But more than anything, I saw a gap in knowledge. A lot of businesses operate in a way that kind of negates their entire brand. They have a friend model as they're doing business. And what I wanted to do was set up a model where I could come in and help out people. Yeah, I think it's a good idea sometimes to have someone who's not actually connected to your business, helping point out where some areas of improvement and opportunity. You don't want to call somebody's baby ugly, but as a consultant, my job is to come in and say your baby might be a little ugly, but let's fix that. So that's sort of the idea there.
I love that. I love that. So, as business owners are shifting and having to pivot, what innovative strategies can business owners employ right now to sustain themselves?
I think there are four key areas. The first thing I would tell any business owner right now is number one, don't rush anything. You're going to have to focus your investment as we go forward in order to execute it, not just for this moment that we are in, but I keep hearing people talk about the new normal. And the truth is, I want people to stop talking about the new normal and think through the lens of a new world order, that the life on the other side of COVID will be completely different for business. And so, just as when many business owners first set up their business, they did a lot of trial and error. They talked through their ideas with small focus groups and got a clear idea of who they were and what they wanted to be. You have to do the same thing, as we're going forward, to make sure that is this a short term pivot or is this something that we have to put together for the long term? I would also tell anyone, under that same one of not rushing, you also do have to invest in the future now. What are the resources you need to leverage to improve your business right now? What was hindering your business pre COVID that you can fix right now during the shutdown, during this area where people are not shopping as much and people are not traveling as much, so that when you come out of COVID, you're already set up for success in the future? I think the second strategy would be to think digital. The sudden shift of working from home has reduced social contact with people, and people are looking to online to buy their products and services. And this isn't going to work for every business, but if you haven't set up a strong online presence, you really are setting yourself up as a disadvantage going forward.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You could choose to sell your product directly, or you could use other online retailers. You can choose which one you want to use, but you've got to have a digital presence, and with that, build a communication strategy with your customers. Don't wait on them to come looking for you. You go looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
We have been in shutdown, and even though technically we're reopening now, particularly here in Georgia, the truth is most consumers are still not out running the streets and shopping.
Sure.
So how are you communicating with your patrons, and letting them know you're still there, even if you're not open during this period?
Mm-hmm.
The example I'll give, Kiyomi, there's a little hibachi place that, when I work here in the city, I would stop at a couple times a week on my way home from work. And they sent me an email the other week and said, "We miss you. We're back open." Because I was a part of the little rewards program. And that was one of the first places that I went when I started, starting to go out a little bit more, seeing what was going on. So go out and find your customers and communicate with them as much as possible. Third thing I will tell you, get creative with what you've already got. Look at the sectors of the economy that are still doing well during this outbreak, and is it possible that your business can leverage what's already there? You may not have to build a new product or build a new skill. You may be able to leverage what you already have, what you're already doing, and just make that work for the future. One of the
Jason, excuse me, really quickly, we just had a question in the comments, and I want to make sure that it is addressed. This
Mhm.
is from Miss Raheem. She actually is a Black owned business owner of Atlanta Urban Motorsports, a family
Okay.
owned business. And her question is, should she hire someone to establish her business presence? I know that is off script, but I saw that question pop up and I wanted to make sure that we address that.
I would say in this environment, no, she should not hire someone to establish her business presence. She should work within her own networking community. What I hear a lot of times from small business owners is that they are connected to the community, quote unquote. And when you ask them deeper questions about what that means, is well, people know I'm in the community. No, in the case of, and I'll use a restaurant. I won't use her business as an example, but a restaurant or that is out there, are you marketing your products in the local corner grocery or in the bodega down the street? Have you worked with even the larger retailers in your market and in your micro market of your community to make sure your product is represented in those stores? That is the way to go ahead and establish your business within your current network. Use word of mouth. People don't believe what they see online until they've heard it from somebody that they know. And so word of mouth is the best way to establish your business presence online. Don't spend money with those larger firms to, get you out there on social media and all of that. Do the work yourself. Post every day. One of the things I see, from businesses is you may have a Facebook page, but you haven't posted on it in 2 or 3 years. Your
Yeah.
website is not up to date. Things like that. I built my presence literally by just posting with my friends, asking all of my Facebook friends to join my business page and to share it out to their networks. And that garnered me a large following just from doing that.
And Jason, before we go into your other points, I really want to get to that. I also want to encourage other business owners who are watching this right now to actually leave the link of their business within their comments. So that's a great way to be able to have that spotlight or that highlight. The comments are forever. So if you do have a business, we encourage you to go ahead and leave a link to your Facebook page and or to your business page within those comments. But Jason, please continue with those additional tips.
Well, and one other thing I will say on that, Kiyomi, I would also say get creative in using things like on social media hashtags, so that your business, your product is seen in more places. If you're here in the city of Atlanta, you should hashtag everything Atlanta, everything Southwest Atlanta, everything SWATs, because when people are looking for those things, they're going to see your business as it comes through the feed, and you may never know who might see it. It may be the right person at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
uh, just in general, the fourth tip that I would give or tell anyone is to recognize that pivots are normal. I think a lot of business owners get stuck in saying, this is the way I've done it, or I set up my business and this is the way it has to be. The research says that about 20% of businesses are going to undergo some type of major pivot, whether it's the products that they do, whether it's the way that they communicate at some point. And that has nothing to do with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the natural business environment. What COVID has done is it's accelerating what normally happens in a normal business cycle, but also create an experience.
Yeah.
Um, I call it the Disney World syndrome. Uh, if you call Disney World, call their 1-800 number, you get an experience from the moment you are on the phone until
Mm-hmm.
you get to their park, until you get to the resort, until they kick you out at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way they kick you out of the park is magical, quote
Yes.
unquote. And so, what type of experience are you
Yeah.
building? And I think one of the pivots that every business needs to look at is what does that experience factor look at? Are you just looking for people to come in and buy your product? Or is there something that comes along with it? And I'll use you and Mark as an example. The good hair shop. Yes, I buy my products. Yes, my beard is silky and smooth because of Kiyomi. But I will also say that, with their shop, I would go work from their shop on certain days. And
Yeah.
there were Friday nights where I went in and just hung out at their shop. And so it became not just a place where I bought my products, there was a place where I could socialize and that there was an experience attached to that. And yeah, I bought more stuff because I was always there.
Yeah.
There's a reciprocal relationship there.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I think that's a great segue into my next question. Do you feel that it's possible right now for businesses to thrive without technology?
No, absolutely not. You're going to have technology, but you can't attribute everything to technology.
Mm-hmm.
Technology should have been part of your plan prior to COVID.
Sure.
But it's not a replacement, number one, for good service.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care how good your social profile is. If your team is nasty when I come in to buy your product, I'm not coming back.
Sure.
And I'll destroy all of your marketing by running to my network and telling what I have seen and experienced.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think a lot of people have to realize that technology is how we make things more convenient. But in the post COVID experience, people are going to be looking for that human touch.
Mm-hmm.
So even with your emails, can I sense that there's a person sending the email, or is it just about getting the information and the product out there?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a world where consumers are researching everything and making their purchasing decisions online, the interaction with a business is vital. Um, One of my favorite vacation spots is a resort in Aruba. I go to the island, just lay out and just chill because it's quiet and I can turn my mind off for a couple of days. They every day are sending out Facebook messages of here's what the beach looks like, and it misses you. When it's cold and rainy in the rest of the world, they are telling you what it looks like. Are you doing that with your business? What does that look like? And I think the last point there, with technology is um, you can't carry it out with no effort. Stop just setting up a website. If you go to my website, seekthestar.com, you'll notice I have a blog where I am interacting with the people that are coming to my website, and you can come and get tips and tricks. All of my tips from today are on my blog on the website today. Are you interacting with your people through technology, or is it just a medium that you're using?
That's good. That's good. I also want to highlight we have our Toro from African Jelly. He just listed his website. And our Toro, if you're still on, can you also just include just the nature of your operations? Are you online? Are you offering in store services as well? I will say I've already joined a couple of our Toro's online virtual classes, but you can please include that in the description as well. I also want to shout out Linda from My Potato Factory. And if you could do the same, Linda, if you could just share along with that thread just what your hours are, if you're doing delivery, who your delivery partners are, we'd love for you all to include that. And I'm also going to ask Miss Peggy, if you're still on, if you could actually drop your website as well for your business. The comments stay forever. So even if someone logs in next week and watches this show, your information will still be here, and it's a great highlight. I just want to add on to what Jason was sharing about this digital piece. Right now, I think you could think about Instagram, Facebook, and social media is something we don't have to pay for. So while you're in your day-to-day operations, if you do not feel like you have anything that is social media savvy worth, use that live option. Log on to your Instagram live, log on to your Facebook live, and just share your process. We are temporary closed right now. We're kind of sharing that process as we're trying to get COVID ready. But I really hope that people watching are really honing in on the tips that Jason is sharing. It is great to be able to build that infrastructure. And I think what Jason shared, COVID just kind of accelerated this business cycle that we're in right now. And no matter what, you cannot deny the power of an amazing customer service experience. So think about how you can enhance that customer service experience. The businesses that I mentioned already do a great job of that, but just think about how you can enhance that customer service experience. Jason, I have another question for you. And this is really focused on brick and mortar businesses. How should the community based brick and mortar businesses shift their operations during this pandemic?
I think the main thing that you have to do is re-examine your network and look for co-op opportunities. The truth is that what COVID is going to do is it's going to reset the table,
Mm-hmm.
and most businesses are not going to survive this. We are experiencing and coming up to depression level unemployment,
Yeah.
GDP loss at depression level, and there's no way that every business that existed in February will exist next
Yeah.
February. And so, how can you connect with other businesses so that you all are working together to survive? There is strength in numbers and genuinely connecting together for a common goal, whether it's sharing your network, whether it's I'm going to do this part and then pass them off to you. as someone else in my co-op or my network, if we're going to go after resources together, if we're going to go after healthcare together, all of those are really important strategies. I think businesses also have to focus in on their target audience. Look for what their target audience wants and do only that. Uh, One of my favorite quotes is by Nina Simone, and she says, "You use up everything you've got trying to give everybody what they want." I don't know what the formula of success is, but I do know the formula of failure is trying to be everything to everybody. And a lot of businesses are falling into that trap, especially here in the COVID environment, because they're chasing money and just any sale possible. There's a restaurant that I stopped patronizing because every time I walked in, there was a different experience. Some days it was a restaurant, and some days it was a flea market, and some days it was an event space, and I didn't know what I was going to walk into every day, and that's not what consumers want. Um, Walmart knows who its people are, people who are going for low prices, and they don't care what else you're looking for. You'll deal with the inconvenience of all of the registers not being open, the store not being clean, people being nasty because you want low prices.
Mm-hmm.
What do your consumers want, and do only that? Become really great at one or two things instead of being mediocre at 10 or 15 things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And Jason, really quick before you go, and I want you to continue with that because that's some really great info that you're sharing. But Michael Wright from Michael Wright J Media, Two Hot Sips and Brews. He has a question here. His question is: will there be a time when the shopping experience will completely replace brick and mortar, or what will the person-to-person business look like? What are your thoughts?
I think it depends on the business. There are some aspects that I think you are going to shift the shopping experience from a brick and mortar experience into a more online experience, or digital experience. But I think it also goes back to what is the experience that I get.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can send, if I want shoe repair, I can send my shoes off to somewhere and get them repaired and not have to interact with anyone. But the truth is, there is a little shop that I go to here in the city, not because of just the work that they do, but the experience I get from the people that own it.
Yeah.
And so if you build an experience around your business, people, even if there are other more convenient options, will choose you because of relationship. There's power in relationship, and if you look at the most successful brands, I think we look at brands like Starbucks or Apple, and yes, they're juggernauts, but the truth is that their success comes from the experience I get when I walk in. You write my name on the cup, and it's not about Starbucks as a whole. It's about the experience with my baristas at my local store. They know my name. They know what I drink. They know my kids. They talk through certain things. And so, are you creating that experience that makes me want to come back and choose you over an Amazon or over another option out there?
Sure. And Jason, and I think, and to hone in on that, there's an opportunity, I think, for businesses to use the safety practices that your business is instituting to help amplify what that experience is. So I think consumers are interested in hearing if you have contactless delivery, if you have pre order options, are you social distancing? I feel like that's a way in your messaging that you can actually amplify that experience because in addition to the experience we have to make sure that consumers even feel safe interacting with your business. So if you are ordering something online, to know that that package was shipped with gloves. So I think there's a lot of little small things that the small mom and pop businesses can do. If you're a restaurant, we want to hear your partnerships with your delivery partners. If you are still allowing people to come in, we want to hear what that process is. So I would encourage business owners, in addition to amplifying your customer service experience, right now include how you're doing things to make it so that your customers are actually safe within your space. And
I
Jason,
agree with that, Kiyomi.
yeah.
And if I could add on to that, what I would encourage everyone who's watching and who will watch, in your networks, find a brand that you really love, that you admire. Go follow them on social media
Sure.
because all of the big brands are doing that. Delta's telling you how they're cleaning their planes.
Mm-hmm.
The hotel brands are telling you how they're cleaning their hotel rooms and what they're doing for safety.
Yeah.
They're making you feel at ease around their process. And you want to mimic that as a small business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Let them do the research on why they need to be doing all of that, and you take that knowledge and implement it for your business.
Sure. Sure, sure. And Jason, you had a few more points. I really want to make sure that we covered just the focus on the long-term profitability of the business. What were your thoughts about that, and knowing your target audience?
Yeah, again, know your target audience. What do they want? And give them only that. Stop trying to throw something at the wall and hoping that it sticks. Be
Mm-hmm.
targeted in what you want, and with that, with long-term profitability, choose where you're going to be, where you're going to invest. What expenses do you need to cut? Are you operating your business on a friend model where you're using your resources to grant favors? Or are you financing the future of your business with every transaction? And that's a thought that you want to have, that every time that someone buys your product, that that money should be going into building the long-term profitability of your business, because there aren't going to be a lot of extra resources out there as we go through the second half of this year. You may have to tread water with what you have, and too
Mm-hmm.
many of you and too many business owners are out there wasting their resources granting favors or trying to be liked by their network instead of focusing in on the profitability. This is not the time to be handing out discounts. This is the time to be very clear of, this is what I put into it, this is what it costs me, and this is what I'm going to charge you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think we had another question, so I'm trying to do double duty on my phone and on my Facebook page as well. So that last question that just popped up, if you don't mind, just reposting it, just so it could be at the top of the comments. I saw it and then it disappeared. I want to make sure that we address that very quickly. Or I'm going to ask if yes, if Mark could read that question.
It says post COVID 19, do you think small business owners should look for more opportunities to partner and share resources?
Jason, did you hear that question? Everyone, did you hear that question?
I did. And the answer is yes. You want to look for as many partnerships as possible. I think that's one of the things that small businesses do wrong. You have 20 people in the community that are doing the same thing. And instead of connecting together, building a stronger business together, everyone wants their piece of the pie. And I'm only going to work with me and for me. And if you look at large, successful brands and businesses, even they partner with like-minded businesses, with like-minded groups that are going to get their message out there, their products to more consumers, or just get their name out in the realm and add to their credibility.
Mm-hmm.
You want to look to do the same thing, but don't wait until after COVID-19. You should be doing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the pandemic, building those relationships, talking to each other around what you have to offer, what resources you have, what can you give, and your weaknesses too. Some of you need to be honest about where your weaknesses are. My supply chain is a mess right now, but I see that you still are able to get certain products. Can I connect with you, and how are you doing that? Because you may be able to go in together, get cheaper prices, and that ends up building your long term profitability. So the answer there is a 100% yes, and you should be doing it right now.
Yeah, and that correct question came from Sandra Brooks. Sandra, I hope we captured that for you. And Sandra, Ed, Michael, I just want to remind you all, if you do have a business, please leave that in the comments, your website, and the link to your Facebook page. Jason, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is, I don't want people to panic. It's bad, and it's going to be bad, guys. You cannot control everything. All you can do is strengthen yourself. I told you I'm a spiritual guy. There's a scripture that I love that talks, and it talks about tent building. It says, strengthen your stakes, drive your stakes down a little further so that when the wind blows, it won't blow what you've built over. And I think a lot of people are stop focusing so much on the short term. Yes, you have to survive the short term, but if you can't survive into the long term, you might as well shut your business down and close up shop now. So, what does this look like going forward? Stop making snap judgments and decisions. Make sober minded decisions. Make it based on data and fact and not feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you're moving forward, that's what's going to equal the long-term profitability for you. The goal, we're in business, the goal is to make money and to make lots of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so look for how you can cut your expenses, look for how you should invest, but ultimately make decisions that are ultimately focused. And I go back to what I said earlier, with every transaction, are you funding your long-term profitability, or are you losing your resources to a feeling in the moment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is great. That is great. So, Jason, can you just drop where people could find you? So, where can
You
they find North Star Consultant on Facebook, on Instagram, and your website? I know we have that listed, posted while you're talking, but could you share that a little bit, please?
If you go on Facebook, it's North Star Training and Consulting at North Star, and if you're on Instagram, it is um, North underscore star underscore consulting. But ultimately, I want everyone who's on the stream to go to my website, seekthestar.com. Sign up for my mailing list, look at my blog, and some of the thoughts that I put, all of the points that I made today are in writing on my blog. Sign up for the mailing list, and I'll give you guys some tips and tricks as we go through COVID and post COVID on how you can remain profitable and build your business.
Sure, sure. Jason, thank you so much. And I also want to give a really big thank you to Dr. Carmen Eccles. Please, like this episode, share it with your colleagues. At the top of the show, Dr. Carmen Eccles shared some really great safety tips for you to consider for your brick and mortar business being open. Even if that does not apply to you, we encourage you to share it with other community based business owners because she offered a wealth of knowledge just for safety operations. I also want to say, thank you to Jason. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you guys are writing everything down that he said. Please don't hold all of this knowledge on to yourself. Please share it with others. We encourage you to leave your website to your business within the comments. Share all of those good tips. Let us know what you thought about the show. Also, if you have some questions that we didn't address, leave them in the comments so we can still make sure that we get to you guys. As always, I am Kiyomi Rollins, your host of Hustle and Grow ATL. I just want to give a heads up, a little bit of housekeeping. We are now switching to a bi-weekly format, so we won't be on next week. We'll be here the following week, but make sure you check out our curbside at the Connect. We shifted and pivoted as a business. So for our development for the Connect, we have shifted for offering a farmers market and food truck park in lieu of us doing our build out with COVID. So make sure you guys are connected to all of our social media links. Jason and Dr. Eccles, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Hustle and Grow ATL.